has launched an unidentified projectile towards the water off its east coast. The move is the latest in a string of weapons tests by North Korea this year. South Korea's military did not identify the type of missile, but said the launch took place on Thursday. It comes as North Korean leader Kim Jong-un continues to focus on enlarging the state's nuclear and missile arsenals. Experts say Kim wants international recognition as a nuclear state in order to demand the lifting of economic sanctions. I'm Karen Shemas.
Crews are taking advantage of cooler weather to start getting a handle on wildfires that have displaced tens of thousands of people around Spokane, Washington. Italy has placed all of its major cities under the highest heat alert. Europe is enduring a severe heat wave, shattering temperature records in Austria, fueling wildfires in France, and disrupting energy and transport systems all across the continent. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures up 70 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
With your news flash, John Loretto, 101.1 The Answer. Receive your dental implants and new smile in as little as 1 day with Little Rock's dental implant specialist, Dr. Samuel F. Jurek, DDS. Schedule your consultation now at JurekDDS.com. Arkansas Department of Health reporting 32 new cases of cyclopsoriasis in just 2 days. The state's total now up to 205 confirmed cases. Benton County accounts for more than half the cases with 124. Arkansas State Rep Austin McCollum resigned his seat in the State House after his arrest on domestic violence charges. McCollum, arrested Saturday, faces charges including third-degree domestic battery, aggravated assault on a family member, and false imprisonment. More than 40 Arkansas 4-H members receiving financial support for their future. Arkansas 4-H Foundation awarding $91,500 in college scholarships to 41 students. John Loretto with your news flash on 101.1 The Answer.
With your sports flash, I'm John Thayer on 101.1 The Answer. The NFL's preseason officially gets underway tonight in Canton, Ohio at Hall of Fame Stadium. It's the Hall of Fame game as the Panthers are set to meet the Cardinals. The Royals winners yesterday over the Minnesota Twins 2-1. Noah Cameron got the win for Kansas City. He's now 6-8. The Royals improved to 48-67. Royals and Twins back at Kauffman Stadium tonight. Michael Wacha starts for Kansas City. He is 5-8. The St. Louis Cardinals yesterday, winners in New York. They beat the Yankees 3-1. Cardinals overcame 2 errors and had 9 hits in the victory. Cardinals are 57-58. St. Louis will have the day off today. Northside Power, your trusted name when the power goes out. Generators isn't something they do. It's all they do. Find out more at northsidepower.com. I'm John Thayer with your Sports Flash on 101.1 The Answer.
Welcome to the Car and Truck Doctor Show, brought to you by Bumper to Bumper and your local Bumper to Bumper certified service centers.
All right, it's a Thursday. That means it's time for the folks from Bumper to Bumper to join us, talk with you about how to get your car to run consistently and keep getting good gas mileage and make sure that you don't run up, ridiculous bills, but, run your car so that you can get the kind of service you want out of your car and get along. We got a lot of noise over here.
Yeah, it's
Val, you hear it?
Kenneth, how you doing today?
Good, sir.
You been busy down there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
No complaints.
Air conditioner work.
A lot of that, a lot of head gaskets.
Yeah.
Even got a motor job going on. Got a motor in from Jasper yesterday. We got to put in.
I got
on a
a
Ford truck.
I got a Chevrolet that's the lifter went bad and ate the
Damn
hoe
up.
up for the lifter in the
Oh.
block.
Mm.
So I'm waiting. He's got a aftermarket insurance company, and they've sent 2 different adjusters out there looking at it and trying to figure out, the guy asked me, can we not home that hoe out and just put a new lifter in it? I'll do whatever y'all tell me to, but I ain't warning it.
Whatever you pay me to do.
But I ain't warning it. It's your puppy. If it makes it out the door, that's fine too. If it don't, that's fine too. And so now they're just, he called yesterday and told Blake, he said, all right, if I send y'all a used motor? I said, sure, it's all right. I said, because you're going to warranty it, not me.
yeah, well, of course. If you're not buying it, you're not going to warrant.
No, I got one of my older customers I've had for years. He called and told me his AC compressor locked up. He said, hey, I bought a kit off the internet. It was a 4-season kit. And so he come out there and Kevin put it on, got it all working. This was back in February when this all went down. We come by the other day and said, hey, something wrong with my AC. It ain't cooling like it ought to. So they put the machine on it and suck all the Freon out of it. And somebody had added Freon to it.
Uh-oh.
It had 1.5 pounds too much in it.
Overcharged.
So I get to talking to him, and I said, hey, who's been messing with it? He said, well, my grandson thought I needed Freon in it, so he put one of them, cans from
Walmart.
in it. Yeah, I don't know where from, but so he's over there, and he said, are you going to charge me to do this? Yes, I am. I got to pay for that $8,000 machine sitting there for,
Yep.
And he said, I said, why did you think it needed Freon? Well, my grandson just thought it needed Freon in it, so he put some in it. It don't work no more.
It wasn't getting cold, so we put more Freon in it.
Oh, it was getting cold. He just thought it needed some more in it because, when it's 110 degrees outside, it takes it a little while to cool the cab off.
Big surprise.
So
110 degrees.
Yeah, we get a bunch of them, drop them off, and think they just need Freon.
Oh, yeah.
And that ain't the case most of the time.
I got a Benton fire truck in there right now. Broke the crankshaft in the compressor. Well, when it did, it filled it full of metal, and that thing has got 3 different expansion valves in it. It's got 3 different, 3 separate units, but it runs off of one
compressor.
Yeah, one the big square compressor that it goes on big trucks and stuff. And
yes, sir.
And I've had a little trouble finding the compressor. I finally found one yesterday, and but he's got to flush everything because everything is full of metal. All the lines are full of metal, and that thing got AC lines running every which way. So,
and some of them AC lines have a muffler in it.
Yep.
And you can't get that stuff out of that.
All you got to do is replace it. Yep. The good thing, this one here it's all the lines have been made by the Pierce fire truck people. So all we got to do is cut it out and put a new one in it and recramp it, which I got a hydraulic clamp deal.
Yeah.
So
I was at I went to a 4 Seasons class when they had it up in I think it was in Bentonville or somewhere up there. Big seminar, and they were talking about lines after they've done the rubber in them. Get that metal impregnated in them, and you can't flush it out of them.
Can't get it out of them.
Especially when you got one with a muffler in it, the way those are made, you can't. And you're best off to replace the line, because even if you flush it all out, that metal will still be stuck in that rubber,
and it'll start coming out.
It'll come out, yeah. And then next thing you know, first thing it's going to attack is the compressor.
Yeah. Then the next thing is getting the expansion valve.
All right. Well,
yes, sir.
Kenneth, for my listeners, intellectual curiosity, how do you make your air conditioner last longer in your car? What are the things that you should be doing and why?
The main thing I would do, I'd keep the condenser in the front cleaned out.
Yep.
And make sure if it's got a cabin air filter, keep that cabin air. Airflow is a big deal with air conditioning systems. If you can't get enough airflow across the condenser to get rid of the heat, and you can't get enough airflow across the evaporator to get the cold off of it, especially on them Dodges and them Fords that don't have an evaporator or have a cabin air filter.
Yep.
Everything will stick to that evaporator
because it's wet.
Damp all the time. And if you can't get enough airflow across that evaporator to get the cold off of it, it'll freeze up and it'll kick the compressor out.
Yep. Then it's got to sit for a while before it can, thaw out.
Thaw out, yeah.
Yeah, why in the world Ford and Dodge did not put a cabin air filter? And the worst part is that Dodge got the opening there. You just got to cut it out and buy the kit.
You got to buy, we put kits in them. Every time we do one, we put a kit in there.
We do too.
And I mean, all you got to do is cut it out and then slide the little tray in there with the filter, and that's it.
And it snaps locks, and and the problem is most of these, most of them that we see is the work trucks. And people get in the right side with mud on their feet. Well,
boots, dust, it just.
And they're sitting there moving their feet around in all that dirt that they done tracked in, and it sucks. In the intake vent is right there by your feet, so all that dirt goes straight to it. Yeah.
Well, that's why you should go buy Splash if you have one near you, and use their free vacuum cleaners. That are,
shoot, these farm trucks and what trucks work on, they ain't gonna wash nothing out.
It'd be 2 inches of dirt over in the right floorboard, and then they're wondering, well, how come my air conditioner's not blowing no more? I don't feel no air coming out of the vents, and then you pull the evaporator out of it, and it's an inch deep on it.
Yeah, I had the Whitehall Police Department's K9 unit, Tahoe. They got a dog box in the back, dog hair. Dog hair is everywhere, and there's no filter on that rear
unit on
evaporator.
Yep.
So they had to take the dog box out and have the cage and stuff out of it for me to get that back right panel off. And I pulled all that out of there and replaced that evaporator and the expansion valve, and because they couldn't get enough airflow across it.
Yeah, I bet you that was nasty too.
Oh, it was.
It was. I blowed it all out, cleaned it all up. That dog's doing good now. That dog's living better than me.
Staying nice and cool. He's enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well,
but I've got 2 Mercedes motorhomes right now. Both of them needs motors in them. One of them, it's a one with the V6 in it. Injector went down and washed the cylinder down in it. So it ruined it. Then I got another one. It don't have a dipstick in it. The newer ones don't have dipsticks. They got a float level in the bottom of the oil pan, and it went bad. And the guy run it low of oil and spun a rod bearing and locked it up. And the worst part about it, both of these people just bought them. This guy bought this one out of North Carolina, and he was going back to Texas in it, and he got to me, and that's when it locked the motor up.
How much was it going to cost to fix it?
$30,000.
Oh,
he paid $110,000 for it.
Oh no, he paid $140,000.
Yeah. Well, he told me he said I've owned it the grand total of 4 days before it locked up. So he's arguing with the people that he bought it from because it was supposed to have been a certified, Mercedes certified, ready to go, and everything
out the door. Yeah.
So Blake talked to the company yesterday that sold it to him, and they want to know what the price to put a motor in it. And Blake said, "Here you go. Here's a motor. It's got a 3-year warranty from a place out of Texas. That's all they do is Mercedes-Benz motors." And so he told Blake, he said, "We may come get it and do it ourselves, or we may tell y'all to do it." And Blake said, "That's fine, but if you tell me to do it, I want half of it up front."
Well, yeah. You've got to do that now because too many times you guys have been
burnt,
sitting there with no money, and you put a bunch of money into it.
I got one right now that got slipped through and didn't get no money up front, and I'm probably going to own it, and it's worth about half what I got tied up in it.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's what we run into a lot of.
That's
why we started just anything over a certain amount. We got to have half.
Anything,
and then you find out how serious they are. Then.
Oh yeah. Then that's when you really know if they're gonna fix it or not. And so
yes, sir.
He keeps telling me that he's gonna come pick it up. He said, "I'm trying to get my money gathered up, so we'll see." I told him, I said, just start paying payments on it. At least I get something.
Bring me something.
Yeah, at least I get something out of it. So, and then this other one, it washed the cylinder down. That guy had owned it. He had paid one payment on it.
No, stop right there. Wash the cylinder down. What are you talking about?
Blow the tip off the injector and ate the cylinder up.
All right. Like when my fuel injector went bad.
Stopped your
my
catch
SUV. Yep.
It washed, but on a diesel, it'll burn a hole right down through the center of the piston and we call it washing the cylinder down. But and it's another $30,000.
Yeah.
And that guy, he had bought an extended warranty through one of the that you see on TV, and they ain't wanting to pay nothing. They told him they'd pay $3,000 of the bill.
Oh my God! And how much is the bill?
It's gonna be around $30,000.
Okay, you'll pay 10%. Yeah, I think I might want to have a different insurance policy.
Well, he told me, he said, I paid good money for this extended warranty, and for this reason, he bought it just in case for this reason. And yeah, they told me they only paid $3. They said they're if you read down in their fine print down at the bottom of it,
there you go.
If the injector goes bad, we don't pay nothing.
Yeah, that's why you carry a magnifying glass with you.
That's why you better read all the fine print.
Read it all.
So, then the adjuster said, well, we'll only pay $3,000 of this bill. And so he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. I told him, I said, I know it's going to screw your credit up, but I tell him, come get it.
Yeah.
I just smile real big, take my loss, because he done told me, he said, I ain't got the money to fix it. He said, that's why I bought such a newer one,
So, yeah.
to cover me.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have this issue.
And, and then he said, and he asked me, he said, how could I know? I said, when it started white smoking, you should have cut the key off. Because I get Dodges in there all the time, done the same thing, blow tip off injector, and it eats the cylinder up. But when you see it puff that white smoke out, you better pull over because you fix and put a motor in it.
Now, let me just stop you for a moment. We've got about 2.5 minutes here before we're going to go break. Before you go out and buy yourself a motor home, there's special things you should know about motor homes versus a regular automobile, right?
Yeah, it's and Kenneth can speak to this too. It's motor homes are a little bit different than going out and buying a pickup. Even though pickups nowadays, you buy a new one, they're $60,000 and $70,000 and $80,000 for not a plain Jane one, but a pretty pretty dressed out one.
Yeah, I mean, it's all what you want.
Yeah, and and you go out and buy a motor home, you can buy a used motor home that can be 3 or 4 years old and still pay $115,000, $120,000 for it.
Right.
But on a motor home, there's a whole lot more stuff you need to be looking at because you got a generator you got to look at. You need to stand at the back corner and look down the side of it and make sure the wall ain't wavy. Because if the wall is wavy, that FFP board is coming apart inside. And you're talking about expensive to fix. They have to pull the whole side off the motor home to fix it. And it gets bad expensive when you have to go and do that. So I tell people, look, if you're going to buy something, take it somewheres, whether it's one of us or wherever, just take it to somebody and pay them a couple $100 and tell them to go through it and look at it.
Right.
Put the computer on it, and just kind of go through. If it's got an Allison automatic transmission, you can go into the Allison software and it'll run a transmission health. It'll tell you how much life's left in it, how much life's left on the bands, and and I tell people you're better off to pay somebody a couple $100 and let somebody that's got some inkling idea of what they're looking at.
Well, why would you buy something that is going to give you all kinds of problems within about 6 months?
They do every day, Dave. You'll be surprised. People that go out and buy something, then ain't it kind of, then a month later.
Yeah, and then they'll say, well, I got a good deal on it. And I was like, well.
Yeah, add this to your deal.
Hey, we had a guy here about a month ago come by. He had done bought a Ford, a 2010 model Ford with a 6.4 in it. And he said, man, I got a smoking deal on this thing. I said, well, I hope you got $20,000, put a motor in it, because I promise you, it's going to need one shortly. He said, well, it ain't got but 100,000 miles on it. I said, I know.
Yeah, but you should have checked the motor before you bought it.
Them things, Dave, you can look at it and it could be running fine 1 minute, can't you, Kenna? And the next minute,
I don't fool with them diesels.
and the next minute it is scattered across the parking lot. I've seen it many, many times.
Wow.
That's why Ford only made that truck 2 years. Late 9, early all of 10, and early 11. And that's when they went
Because
to
of the issues.
Yeah, because they just, hey, they run good. They got plenty of power. They'll pull anything, but
When they're working.
oh yeah, and when they're working, they're great. But you may
When
be
they're working.
you may
That's
be
what I'm
running
saying.
down the highway, no problem, good oil pressure, good temperature, poop, and it pokes a rod outside the block.
Now we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about something that you just kind of made mention of in that last segment. 7:21 on a Thursday. Hey, by the way, David is up after this hour, and he'll be ready to talk about the economy. He's got some really interesting information to share with you here on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1 The Answer.
Tipping point to ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave. You need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
This is David Lucas. I have a question for you. Have you ever tried putting together a puzzle without the picture on the front of the box? You have all the pieces, but it's hard to see how they're supposed to fit together. And for many people, that's what retirement feels like. Even people who've worked hard and saved well still find themselves wondering and asking questions like, do we really have a plan or just a pile of accounts? Will our income last? Are we paying more in taxes than we should? And maybe the hardest question of all, if something happened to you tomorrow, would your spouse know where everything is, who to call, and what to do next? At Lucas Total Wealth, we help families bring everything together through our Thrive Planning Framework. You can learn more at TotalWealth.com. That's TotalWealth.com. Don't just retire, plan to thrive.
Investment advisory services are offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License, number 1-615-2743.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Sullivan's Automotive in Little Rock. Carter Radiator Service in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1 The Answer.
All right, guys, I want to go back to something that Duck said in the last segment, and it bears repeating as well as maybe expanding it a little bit. You talked about when you're getting ready to go out and buy a used vehicle or used RV or whatever, that if you have a good working relationship with your technicians at the bumper and bumper shop that you go to, you can bring it to them and they'll give it the once over and give you a yay or nay on what you're trying to buy.
Yeah, and Kenneth probably does this too. I got customers that I've had for years, and they'll say, "Hey, I want to buy this used vehicle," and the first thing I tell them is, "Hey, go up there and tell the who you're buying it from. Hey, I want to take it to my shop and let them go over it.
Yep.
And if they tell you no, walk off from it. If they say, "Oh,
Yeah, I
sure.
get people. They'll bring them up there. First thing I do, put them up there and make sure the bottom ain't rusted out.
Exactly, because you
make sure it didn't come from up north.
Yeah, because I got a customer bought a truck from up north, and oh my gosh, every time we go to work on it, it's go get the cutting torch.
Yeah,
lots of rust under there, isn't there?
Oh, it's just pure rust, and you
you look at it and it falls off.
And I keep telling him, I said, one of these days the frame's going. It's a little, it's a 1-ton dump truck. He hauls sod, dirt stuff. To when somebody's building a new house, he goes around and does all the yard work. And I said, one of these days you're going to load this truck up with 4 yards of dirt, and it's going to break half in two. That's how bad the frame is, and that's why I tell people, hey, just bring it to us. I mean, I don't mind looking at it. If you'll call and say, hey, I'm going to pick it up tomorrow, can you just give me 30 minutes to go over it? Most time in 30 minutes, can't you get it? You can tell if it's worth the flip.
I work on a few of the service trucks out at the paper mill, and that paper gets all over the frame and everything and just eats it up.
It's amazing how it eats it up.
And they brought it in here, said something is making noise on the front end. Well, the daggum blower control arm where the brackets are welded to the frame have done rusted just dang near plumbing too. And there ain't no fixing that. I mean, it's done.
Yeah, it's time.
I said, y'all are going to be going across a bump, and the old lower control arm's going to break off the frame.
Yeah,
I've got this Oldsmobile that I bought a couple of years ago, and I called Joe and said, I'm going to pick it up today. I'm not signing for it until you all have time to kind of go from front to back and give me your thoughts on it. And Joe said, fine, can you get here by this time? And I did. He looked at it and he says, you got a good one here. If you can buy it, buy it. So I did, and I haven't had any problems with it.
We had one that a customer was trying to buy, and we put the computer on it, and the mileage on the dash and the mileage in the computer didn't match.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So Russell gets to talking to the customer about it. And he said, well, I'm buying it from an individual, and I don't know if he did it on purpose or the instrument cluster went bad and he bought a used instrument cluster and stuck in it. But the mileage was about 30,000 miles off, and 30 miles, it had 30,000 more than what the instrument cluster showed. So I told him, I said, I don't see nothing wrong with the card. You just need to know that according to the computer, this is how many miles it's on it versus what's on the dash. And so he bought the vehicle, and it's been a good vehicle. He bought it for his daughter, but it's been a good vehicle. And he asked the customer, he said, man, that's the way it was when I bought it a year ago. So, but the guy was, I think the guy was pretty straight with him that he didn't know that that you could do that, check the miles to the computer. But, it's just one of them deals where, you just try it and see what happens, and I tell them all the time, it's like a pig in a poke, I can look it over and I can see everything that needs to be done, but that don't mean nothing that's inside the motor because I can't see
something
inside the
internally. That's for sure.
I got a customer bought a Ford in yesterday.
I'll let you talk about it when we come back. We got to get a break in. Bill Riley is going to join us, and then we'll be back here on the Dave Elswick Show. Kenneth is with us from Dewdrop. He's down there in the Pine Bluff area. We'll join him again in just a moment.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first.
Most people already know what medications they take. You don't need another waiting room. You just need an easier way to get them. So please check out All Family Pharmacy. More than 400 prescription medications online. Fill out a quick form. Licensed doctors review it, and you get the meds shipped right to your door. Let them know I sent you. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. On this Thursday, I'm thinking about the rise of confusion in the USA. Every day I receive hundreds of messages. One theme is becoming clear. Many people do not know or understand what the deuce is happening in this country. That makes them susceptible. All kinds of crazy stuff, conspiracy theories, misinformation, media manipulation. The folks don't know the basics of how President Trump makes a decision, for example, or why trends are happening in our society. Personal finance, artificial intelligence, social media, vaccine. Everyone is confused. So it's my job to clarify, not to root for a political party or push an ideology. That upsets some people. I don't care if they're upset, but it really is a waste of time. My job is to analyze how things affect you. In life, you absolutely need to know what's going on. Information is the only way to protect yourself from the evildoers. Seek the truth. And also seek out people who have a history of giving you the truth. Back in a moment. Trapped in a timeshare, fees rising every year while availability shrinks, resorts making exiting nearly impossible. That's why I partner only with Lone Star Transfer. This family-owned company is transparent, honest, respectful. They have helped more than 40,000 owners exit legally and ethically through a simple guaranteed process. No surprise fees, no unused vacations, no stress. Please visit LoneStarTransfer.com or you can call 855-551-7066. Tell them Bill sent you today.
That is the Morning O'Reilly Update.
The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Joe's Garage in North Little Rock, Mid-State Transmission and Auto Repair in Benton, and Pinnacle Automotive in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1, The Answer.
Don't forget, we are in the Lucas Total Wealth Studios. Schedule your total wealth evaluation today so that you can thrive in retirement at totalwealth.com. I got to get Dave Lucas back on here on the Dave Elswick Show. I've known Dave for, over 15 years, and from when he started his business to where he is today, he's doing a great job. He used to be right there on Bowman at the corner of Bowman and Markham, and over the bank there. He used to be up on top. Now there's a David's Burgers there.
So Kenneth, I've got a 2000 Chevrolet. It's got a 454 in it. He blew the top radiator hose on it. It got so hot on the temperature sensor. I'm putting a motor in it. The temperature sensor unit that goes, that feeds the computer. It melted the bottom
the
off
coolant temp sensor?
Yeah, it melted the bottom off of it.
Oh.
It got so hot. So how hot do you think it got actually before it shut itself off?
He just run that thing to it.
I said, did you not see the check engine light come on or the temperature gauge? He said, I smelled antifreeze, and when I smelled antifreeze, I looked down and the needle was pegged out. But
because that mounts right up there on top next to the thermostat, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's exactly where it is, right about an inch from the thermostat housing. It melt. I'm putting a long block in it, and it melted the bottom off of it. I thought, man, it had to been. I think the whole motor had to been cherry red to do that. I mean, even though it's brass.
Is the intake are you going to be able to reuse the intake?
No, I'm putting the intake on it. I don't want to take no chance. Out of both heads, we pulled both heads to look at it. He wanted to pull both heads, and out of the 16 valves, 8 of them got the seat hanging out underneath the valve. That's how hot it got. The seats fell out of the head, and he said, "What can I do?" And I said, "The only thing you can do is put a long block in it." And he wanted to know, could I find a used engine? And I looked everywhere.
Where are you going to find one of them? You can't find no.
You can't. No. I found some, but they had 200,000 and 300,000 miles on them. And I told him, I said, look,
That's just putting more problems back in your car.
Exactly. And this thing's in a motor
Yeah.
home on top of that, and they ain't just real easy to put a motor in to start with. So he said, well, let's just go ahead and put a long block in it. So I bought a Jasper long block we put in it, and they got it running yesterday. But yeah, I was gun shy of the intake, even though I put it over in my steam cabinet and just to see if, to look at it. But and me and Russell sat there and discussed it. And I told Russell, I said, I just don't feel safe putting the intake back on it. So,
Not something that got that hot.
yeah, Dorman sells the intake for it. Took a couple of days to get it through bumper to bumper, but got it. They got it running yesterday, and the guy's supposed to pick it up today sometimes. But a loan block for that thing my cost is $3,900 now.
I don't doubt it.
And used to you could buy them all day long from Jasper for $1,800.
Yeah.
But everything else.
Yeah, ain't nothing like it used to be. Everything's gone up.
Yeah, them injection kits for the diesel truck. I was buying them straight from Bosch for like $4,400 2 years ago, and now they're almost $8,000. Same kit.
For the listeners, again, I'd like both of you just to share with them some of the cost that it sets on you as being a bumper-to-bumper certified service center. You got to have the right equipment and things of that nature. How much how much money are we talking about every year that you've got to keep your computers up the way they should be?
Go ahead, Kenneth.
Well, I keep Snap-on Shop Key. I pay it monthly. It's a couple $100.
Yep.
And a few other sites that I'm members of. And, you probably spend $800-900 a month just in updates.
Yep.
And then my Alltel scanner, I update it once a year. And it's usually $1,800-1,900 to update it.
Yeah, see, I got factory Isuzu and I got factory Hino. Isuzu is $12.95 a year. Hino is $8.95 a year. Allison transmission is $6.95 a year. Plus I got my Snap-on like you got, and then mine's I probably spend $10,000 or $12,000 a year just updating computers that you have to do every year. My Caterpillar stuff, it's I think it's $1,300 a year. And Caterpillar, the way they do theirs, Dave, you buy it for 365 days. And if you don't update it on the 366th day,
it doesn't work.
It turns off.
Yeah.
So they got you, and they know they got you. So, you buy the program up front, it's $10,000 to buy the program. And then you have to pay an update every year. And
it's kind of like the Snap-on scanners.
Yep.
They're anywhere from 10 to 13.
Yep.
And then you pay for updates every month.
Yep. And the Mac tool man come in there to the shop the other day, and he had traded for a Snap-on computer that was brand new. The guy had owned it 1 month and didn't like it, so he traded him out of it. So he come to the shop and he was talking to Blake.
Zeus Plus.
I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, he come to the shop and he told Blake, he said, "Hey, I traded for this. I got it at a good bargain. It's a month old." So I called my Snap-on, or Blake did call my Snap-on guy, and he said, "Hey, I sold it to the guy. I know what the guy paid for it."
Uh-huh.
And Blake told him, he said, "Well, I can buy it for this." And he told Blake, he said, "If you don't want it, buy it. I'll take it back because I can resell it, make good money on it." So I bought it. Then he come up. It had never been actually put in service.
It had been taken out of the box.
It had been took out of the box and used a couple of times, but it had never been registered through Snap-on.
Oh wow!
So when Knuckles come over there, my Snap-on guy, he said, "Hey, where's it at?" So Blake give it to him. He went out there and registered it and everything, got everything took care of. But I bought it for $3,000.
No, you stole it.
I know. When he told me what he wanted for it, I told him, "Yeah, I'll take it."
And that will pass on to your customers, won't it?
Oh yeah, you have to, Dave. I mean, that's just like all the updates. That's why, people come in and I charge them an hour to diagnose their problem. And they look at me, "Well, why you charge me an hour?" I said, "Do you know how much that machine's laying right there cost?" I said, "That's $10,000 or $12,000. and I got to pay for it some way. I can't pay for all of it out of my pocket. Can we, Kenneth?
No, sir. No.
And you kind of got it double because you also sell parts for bumper to bumper. So, you're kind of in a little different, situation than the rest of us. So, but,
yes, sir.
But I got to say one thing about bumper to bumper, they do take care of us, don't they, Kenneth?
They do. I have no complaints. No, sir.
Me neither. They have warranty stuff for me that I tell them on the front end, look, it's out of warranty, but the customer wanted me to ask, and Billy right there at the store, she said, I'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And if it's a month or 2 or 3 out of warranty, I don't mind asking, but if it's a year and a half out of warranty,
that's different.
Yeah, well, that's like me. If it's just past the warranty period and it don't look like it's been on there 100 years,
yeah,
I'll take care of them.
Yeah. With and bumper to bumper, take care of us. I mean, and so I tell people, look, they're good people, they're good, honest people. It's basically a family-run business, isn't it, Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of like all of us shops, Joe, Dave, that, me and Kenneth and Joe and Ken Sullivan and Gary Henry and all us, we're all family owned. And I got my family running mine, and I'm sure Kenneth's 2 boys going to run his when he gets, when they get older.
They've done been up here. I've had them up here working. and my daughter, before she started college, she would come in at 4:30 in the morning with another guy and check off and put up freight every morning.
Hey, that's pretty good for her.
And she would go to school. Yeah, I told her, I said, you gonna get up and work.
Yep.
And she did.
That's not a bad thing. You did her a favor by doing that.
That's what I told her. I said, if you can work for me, you can work for anybody.
Hey, that's what my daddy told me one time. He said, if you can put up with me at work, you can go anywhere you wanted to and work. And I had 9 brothers and sisters. So, we all had to work because we didn't have nothing to start with, so, but I don't complain because I asked my mom and dad one time, I said, Mom, how did you and Dad ever feed all of us and put clothes on all of us? And she just looks at me and grinned, and she said, I don't know, but we did it.
Yeah.
I wore hand-me-downs because I was next to the youngest. So, and back in them days, Kenneth, I had pants that had holes in the knees, and
you were ahead of your time.
I know. That's what I told you.
Yeah, you was embarrassed then. Nowadays they wear them, and that's what they want.
I know. I told Teresa, I said, I told my wife one time, I said, I didn't realize how poor we was back in them days until now, and I said, because Mama would take an old pair of Levi's and cut them up and patch the holes in our Levi's for us. And, and like you said, I was kind of ashamed to wear them, but that's all I had. So it didn't bother me, and so, but nowadays.
Man, you had Levi's, I had tough skin.
That's what we had too, tough skin. Everybody called them Levi's, but they wasn't Levi's. They was tough skin.
Yeah.
Or I had a few pair of Dickies that Mom had bought at a secondhand place. And, but but I had a buddy that I run around with, and he always carried dice in his pocket. And somebody hollered, let's shoot craps. He never had a pair of pants that had knees in them. I mean, never had a pair of pants.
Everybody thought he was a religious guy, and he had nothing to do with that religion stuff.
No, but I guarantee you, I bet you he's still alive to this day, and I bet you to this day, if you asked him, he'll have a set of dice in his pocket.
Yeah,
I mean, he was, and he was a good mechanic too. I mean, he
liked to gamble.
He loved shooting dice. He didn't want to do nothing but shoot dice. He wouldn't play no cards with you or nothing like that. But you said, let's shoot dice. He'd jump down on them knees and pull them out of his pocket.
Papa needs a new pair of shoes.
Exactly, Dave. So, Kenneth, what else you got been going on down there besides work?
Just work. Fighting the dust.
Oh,
they got dust blowing like crazy. We actually had a bunch of leaves. I guess the trees are dying around here and the leaves are falling off. I thought it was fall, but it was too dang hot for it.
Yeah, I think my wife's got a big old tulip tree out back, and I noticed yesterday the leaves are turning brown on it.
Yep.
I told her, I said, you better run that garden hose over there and put it on the ground and let it sit there and run for about an hour, real slow. So she's been watering her front yard because I've been, somehow or another, I got some kind of grass weeds growing up in her front yard, and I've been trying to kill it out. I bought me some MSMA and put on it, and I finally got them
under control.
Well, they ain't under control yet, but they are dying. So, but my wife, she likes a pretty front yard, so I've been trying to get it. But I told her yesterday, I said this morning she got up when I was right after I got up, and she was going to go turn the sprinkler on out front, let it water the front yard because it's got a bunch of brown spots in it. And I said, because it needs some water. And so
yeah, you might want to dig into those a little bit. Make sure you don't have any grubs.
No, I killed them out. I had moles.
Oh, you had moles?
Oh, God, yes. You could walk across the front yard like walking on a sponge.
Wow.
I ain't got anything but dust around my house. My kids always keep the grass run over.
Yeah, but they riding something around on it all the time, though, ain't they?
Oh, yeah, either a side-by-side, a four-wheeler, or a golf cart.
Look,
and I done told them, don't come up to the house because they'll drive by the house and there's dust flies everywhere.
And Mama going to get them, too.
She's in the house. She said she ain't sitting outside. I like to sit outside.
I sat out there last night about 9:30.
It's still hot.
Yeah, it wasn't near as bad as it had been earlier, but I got raccoon problem at my house, and raccoons and possums. This year I've caught 28 or 29 possums, and I've caught 17, 18 coons.
You relocate them?
Carry them down by the Saline River and throw them out. But I got one. I can get him in my cage, but I can't keep him in the cage. He tore the door off of night before last.
Good grief.
I put a deer camera on it so I could see what it is. Yeah, he probably 35-pound coon. He's been well fed with cat food.
All right, let's get a break in. We got to do that. Then we'll come back and finish up this hour of the Bumper to Bumper Car and Truck Doctors. Our thanks to Bumper for supporting this show. It's been going for over 2 decades and giving you the answers about problems that you could be facing with your car and things to be looking for to make sure you don't have worse problems with your cars, because buying a new one ain't cheap anymore. 7:49. Let's take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com. When you need the news that matters most, you need the Doc Washburn Show. Live and local, Doc covers the latest breaking news from Arkansas and across the nation. Plus, he digs into the stories no one else is talking about, the issues that affect you, your family, and your community. Smart analysis, straight talk, real conversations. The Doc Washburn Show.
Hey, Doc, I appreciate you taking my call. I feel really confident to say anytime that I turn on the radio and you're on the radio, I know that I'm going to get accurate reporting. I'm going to get unbiased perspective, and I want you to know I appreciate it. You do an exceptional job. So I'm listening with intent because I know and I trust that you're going to give us the facts and not an opinion per se.
The Doc Washburn Show, weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. on 101.1. The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Dewdrop Auto Repair in Pine Bluff, Duck's Garage in Benton, and Jets Gas and Service in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1. The Answer.
All right, 10 minutes until 8 o'clock. And at 8, we'll have the news. At about 5 or 6 after, we'll be talking to David Fisher, and he'll be talking to you about the economy. The Chinese are up to a few things, as well as we heard from the head of the banking committee, I guess it was, and some things that we need some clarification on. And David will work at giving you that in the next half hour. So stick around with that because you'll want to know what's going on as far as that's concerned. And he'll talk about the prices of gold and silver. Neither are they going up or going down. They're kind of going sideways.
Yeah.
Just kind of going left to right, kind of thing that way. But the Chinese have over $1 trillion worth of gold now, and so do we. And countries all over the United States are buying gold like crazy. Now I know you guys don't buy gold, but we heard what you're paying your money for on those computers and everything. Duck, you can talk about this. It used to be that you would sign up and get a subscription for one of your computers, and you could run it on other cars and stuff. Not that way anymore. It's one car with one VIN number.
Yeah, if you need to program something like for a GM or a Ford or something like that, used to we'd buy a prescription. It was like, I think it was, best I can remember, Dave, about $450 for the year, and you can program anything you wanted to. But now, I think it just went up to $75 a VIN number, and the only thing you can program is anything with that VIN number attached to it. Now the good thing about it is, once you pay the $75, it's good for 1 year. Anytime in that 1 year, you can go back and program that vehicle. And Ford's the same way, and Dodge is the same way, and the Nissan's the same way, aren't they? Kind of, it's used to, me and Joe would buy the Chevrolet. I'd buy the Chevrolet, and he'd buy the Ford, and then we'd swap back and forwards.
Yes, sir.
But they stopped all that, didn't they, Kenneth?
Yeah. See, I've got out of that programming when they started all that stuff.
Yep.
I had a guy that worked here, and that's all he did. And then it just got to where I liked it when you could buy a subscription and do as many as you could.
Exactly.
In a year.
Exactly. Made it a whole lot better, but
they're figuring out ways for themselves to make money.
Well, they figured out they was losing money. I mean, because now you pay I think it's $75 on GM now, and then but the good thing is that they did leave it where you can go back and program that vehicle.
That one VIN number.
Yeah, the whole year. Whatever you need to program on that one VIN number. Cummins, they did one better than that. They charge you $75 if you want to program. We'll just say a ECM on a Cummins. You pay $75, and you got 3 days to do it.
Wow.
Yes, you got 3 days to do it.
You get 72 hours.
Yes.
Good grief.
You got 3 days to do it, and if you don't get it done in that 3 days, you pay the $75 again. I bought an ECM from Cummins. Bought the $75 to program it. Well, the ECM, the reman ECM wasn't no good. So it took 5 days to get me another one.
Uh-oh.
So
gotta pay it again.
Well, I raised Cain with Cummins, and they said, well, we'll do it this one time. We're not doing it again. So they give it to me for free. But I told them, I said, look, it's y'all's computer this bad. It ain't me, it's y'all.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I understand that, but that's our rules. So, smiled real big and, went on about my business. But that's just life nowadays in working on vehicles, isn't it, Kenneth? I mean,
yes, sir.
And you run into something totally new every day. It seems like, some new problem that we run into.
Well, they're always adding things because people want more stuff on their cars. I mean, to be able to have that, the
luxuries.
The computer situation where if you're drifting out of your lane, your steering wheel shakes at you.
Seat shakes, steering wheel shakes.
There's a reason that
the seat, all that.
Yeah, and then most vehicles nowadays got heated seats, cool seats, heated steering wheel, cool steering wheel. It's just I got a new GMC pickup, and it's got programming problems. About 3 times a week I get in it, the radio won't come on, the turn signals won't blink. You can't answer your phone through the radio. And I've been back over to GM and talked to Dylan over at Everett, and he said, he said, I got about 800 of these pickups, 26 model pickups that's got the same problem.
They're coming in all the time.
Yep. And he said when they first started having the problem, GM was telling them to replace the screen, the screen in the dash and the amplifier underneath the dash, and check the wire and harness, make sure the plugs are all good and everything. And he said, so we did a bunch of them, but that didn't fix the problem. And GM don't know what to do with it right now.
Yeah, they got something internally.
It's in the program, and they just got to figure the programming out, and they'll figure it out. It just, something like that, they've got to catch it doing it, and then if they can ever catch it doing it, then they can figure it out, can't they, Kenneth?
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to fix it when it ain't broke.
Yeah, like mine did it one day, and I went on to the shop and turned it off. Well, when I got back in it to go to Everett, the radio come on, everything worked. So I called Dylan and talked to him about it. And he said, well, next time it does it, drop by here and let me see it. So about a week later, I got up, I left the shop going to Little Rock to pick up a part, and it stole a fit. And I went by, and Dylan said, yeah, as soon as I figure out what we can do with it, I'll let you know. But GM's got a problem with it right now. And it's also on the Acadias and on the Suburbans and all that stuff too.
All right. We're out of time, guys.
Thank you, Kenneth.
For this Thursday. Appreciate you both being with us. Kenneth, thank you for joining us down there in Pine Bluff area at Dewdrop. Tell everybody where you're located at. What's your phone number?
6020 Sheridan Road, 870-247-4638.
Yeah, give them a call if you're having a problem. If you got an engine light on, you need to have it looked at. It's on for a reason.
Before it ruins something else.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen. All right, so I'll let you go, Kenneth.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Time for me to call it quits here for this hour. David Fisher is up next. We'll talk about the economy. That's coming up after the news, which is next.
TheAnswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Senate Homeland Security Committee preparing to vote on holding Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. At issue, Fauci's repeated refusal to answer questions during a hearing dealing with Fauci's handling of the COVID response.
This vote comes as investigators get their hands on Dr. Fauci's phone. Committee Chair Republican Rand Paul attempting to hold Anthony Fauci responsible for taking the fifth 111 times during that coronavirus hearing. Prior to the hearing, Senator Paul releasing more than 1,000 pages of Fauci's diary. that he emailed to himself using a government server. In the diary, he brags about all the attention he was getting during the COVID era.
Correspondent Laura Winters. Iran says it's on the verge of an agreement with Oman to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Ukraine and Russia continue trading fire. Ukrainian President Zelensky says Ukraine has hit oil refineries deep inside Russia, while the Russians have killed at least 3 Ukrainian civilians.
Zelensky is urging allies to supply interceptor missiles to bolster Ukraine's air defenses. Speaking a day earlier during a meeting with Britain's defense minister, Zelensky said,
This night, again, the signal before the winter. We think that we need the unanimity and we need strong support from your country and from all other European friends. This is a signal also that Russia gives us and to the world that they don't want to stop.
Analysts believe Russia is attempting to exhaust Ukraine through endless barrages. I'm Karen Shemas.
Healthcare workers at the epicenter of Congo's Ebola outbreak are protesting over unpaid wages. They've abandoned several healthcare facilities, demanding to be paid. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 105 points, NASDAQ futures down 191. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
With your news flash, John Loretto, 101.1 The Answer. Receive your dental implants and new smile in as little as 1 day with Little Rock's dental implant specialist, Dr. Samuel F. Jurek, DDS. Schedule your consultation now at jurekdds.com. Arkansas State Representative Austin McCollum has resigned from the State House after his arrest on domestic violence charges. He was arrested Saturday, faces charges including third-degree domestic battery, aggravated assault on a family member, and false imprisonment. Arkansas Department of Health reporting 32 new cases of cyclopsoriasis in just 2 days, bringing the state's total to 205 confirmed cases. Benton County accounts for more than half of the cases with 124. Arkansas 4-H Foundation awarded $91,500 in college scholarships to 41 students across the state of Arkansas. John Loretto with your news flash on 101.1 The Answer.
With your sports flash, I'm John Thayer on 101.1 The Answer. The Royals winners yesterday over the Minnesota Twins 2-1. Noah Cameron got the win for Kansas City. He's now 6-8. The Royals improved to 48-67. Royals and Twins back at Kauffman Stadium tonight. Michael Wacha starts for Kansas City. He is 5-8. The St. Louis Cardinals yesterday, winners in New York. They beat the Yankees 3-1. Cardinals overcame 2 errors and had 9 hits in the victory. Cardinals are 57-58. St. Louis will have the day off today. The NFL's preseason officially gets underway tonight in Canton, Ohio at Hall of Fame Stadium. It's the Hall of Fame game as the Panthers are set to meet the Cardinals. Northside Power, your trusted name when the power goes out. Generators isn't something they do, it's all they do. Find out more at northsidepower.com. I'm John Thayer with your sports flash on 101.1 The Answer.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
I want to welcome you back to the Lucas Total Wealth Studios. Schedule your total wealth evaluation today so that you can have and thrive in retirement at totalwealth.com. Well, he's back from vacation, so we can find out what's going on with the economy. I saw today oil was at about $75 a barrel, so the market handling what's going on in Iran in a decent way. I know that a gallon of gas has fallen about 40 cents a gallon here in Cabot, so we're happy to see that happening. But there's other things that are going on, and Dave Fisher is here with us on the Dave Elswick Show. He typically is with us every Thursday at this time. Missed a couple of weeks because he went on his vacation. What's wrong with you, man? You're supposed to be working all the time.
I work hard, play hard. And when I got back, I worked 17 hours the first day, and I could go on, but I don't want to sob story anybody. But it's so glad to be back. Actually, 2 days before I got back, I was ready to come back. So I'm loving being on your program, Dave. Thanks for having me.
I like you when you come on because I always learn something. I really do learn something from you whenever you appear on the show. Let's see what we can learn today. China is going crazy. They're buying up a bunch of gold. United States has their share of gold as well, but they've been aggressively getting gold, and it looks like there could be what some are calling in the business a financial reset. Why don't you explain that as far as what China is doing and what it can mean for my listeners?
So I think the title of this article that just came out here last week, Dave, lays the foundation for this whole story. And here's what the title says: China's gold stockpile could surpass U.S. gold holdings in the next 5 years, according to BMO Capital Market Analysts. So this is not coming from a guy who owns a gold company or somebody in my industry. This is from Wall Street saying this. So let's put this, that's just a huge statement. Now, how much gold does China own, and how much gold does the United States own? And how much have they bought recently? That's the big question. And why is this all going on? And why would China possibly surpass the United States? And what's the likelihood of that? Well, let's dive into this thing because this is huge because it affects every one of us. You'll see in a second. China holds currently around 5,200 tons of gold. But they don't report, according to the BMO analysts and many other analysts, they don't report all of the purchases and holdings. So there's this belief system that China actually holds more than 5,200 tons. But let's just be conservative, since that's the kind of guy I am growing up on a farm. Let's go with that number. United States holds 8,133 tons of gold. So more than China. But what's the difference here? Well, China, if you looked at a chart of their gold buying, it's been relentless. They've been buying for decades. Specifically, they started a little over 20 years ago, really buying. But think of a car. Sometimes a car is in gear one and goes slow. And sometimes central banks like China and others buy just a little bit of gold every year. And sometimes it's in gear 5, the opposite. And they're buying relentlessly with double fists as much as gold as they can get. And for the last 5 years, Dave, that's the behavior of China. They're doubled their gold buying this last year and for the last 5 years than the previous 5 years. About 1,000 tons is what central banks are buying every year. And 5 years ago, it was only 500 tons. Now let's look at the United States. This is going to be shocking. The United States has not bought any gold, according to their own admittance, since 1974. Not 1 ounce.
Wow.
Why is that?
That's
we'll
a
get
good
into
question.
that in a second. But something is up in the gold market, the dollar market, central banks in gold, and specifically China is leading the charge. But they're not the only one, but they're doing something else in addition to just buying gold. They set up a whole new system. Right now, gold trades, the hub for gold trades in London. That's where the main source of gold is all bought by central banks of the world and most big institutional companies. China wants to kick them off the pedestal and be number one in that. Well, it's one thing to own gold. It's another thing to be a central hub of the world in trading gold and selling gold to the central banks of the world and all these investors. To do that, you got to build highways, roadways, financial systems, storage areas, a trading platform, a development system that allows this to happen. And China quietly has been doing this. I've been watching it for the last 3 years, and they launched that on July 7th. So now China not just wants to be the biggest buyer of gold on a country level and surpass the United States. And by the way, if they keep buying at the rate have been doing, they will surpass the United States, according to the article by the BMO analyst, not just in 5 years, but possibly much sooner, the analyst says. So something is up. They want to be the hub of trading. Let's put this all together. The simple thing is China wants to be the currency and the focus of the world, because what's happening, in summary, all currencies are devaluing because all countries' debt are exploding, and how you deal with your debt, you devalue your currency. So this is where it affects the listeners in Arkansas and every listener across the country. Our currency, amongst all currencies, are going to be massively devalued because our debt is way out of control. That's why you got to hedge yourself and have a portion of your money in gold and silver. As the dollar goes down, gold and silver goes up, and we're in a rally in gold and silver, which we'll get into a little bit today if we have time.
All right, so Scott Bassett, who's the Treasury Secretary, recently was talking about the United States, and he said that we have more than $1 trillion in gold, and that doesn't matter for the U.S. dollar. Now, why would he say that?
It's I'm perplexed at a loss of words just in thinking about that. But let's put some of the pieces of the puzzle together to get to that answer. So here we have a President Trump, a president that thinks outside the box, clearly just about in anything he does. And he doesn't do it the, quote, the traditional way. This president, his first term and his second term, he's talked about the gold in Fort Knox. He's mentioned gold so more than any other president in history. Never have we ever had a president talk about gold, Fort Knox, except for maybe one time when Fort Knox was created. But since then, we've never had, to my knowledge, and I've studied it, any president talk about Fort Knox gold. And President Trump this year alone has talked about it at least 4 different times. Scott Bassett is on the same page. He now, at least twice this year, through Fox News, has talked about the gold in Fort Knox. So we have the same administration, the same talk, the same ideology, and the same actions happening. Something has to be up in the gold market and the U.S. dollar market for this to be talked about anywhere close to this much amount of time. Why is he talking about gold and the U.S. dollar, and we're having $1 trillion in gold, and the dollar doesn't matter because it's not backed by gold? And he talked about, and he actually said the dollar is a fiat currency. I don't remember ever a treasurer talking about our currency being fiat, which just means there's nothing backing it. We print money out of thin air. We create debt out of thin air. That's a negative. And he says a few things others in reference to this. But let me just say this. He said gold, the U.S. gold was worth $1 trillion. That is true in market value because the value of gold today is $4,240 or thereabouts. But the government says the value of gold on their books is $42 and change per ounce. Why the discrepancy? Because for decades, lots of decades, the government has valued gold at $42 and change and never changed the value. So he is saying it's really worth $1 trillion. We got to change the value. And then I think once we change the value, you're going to see them start to connect the dots between gold and the US dollar, because I believe of all the research and my 32 years of experience, the last 15 years, there is a race amongst countries to back their currency by gold and possibly silver. And I think President Trump and now Scott Bessent is laying the foundation for that. And I think some of this rhetoric is, don't get all caught up in gold. We got it under control. We're doing all these things behind the scenes. I think this is what's happening. And I think they're going to revalue gold, then back the currency by gold. I have a white paper on this that says a lot of quotes, but I think that's what he's saying. He's trying to diminish this idea of gold because gold is really a thermometer, why it's rallied so much in the last 5-6 years as a thermometer that tells us there's a problem for the US dollar. And I think he's downplaying that a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what else he had to say. Treasury Secretary said that money certificates could still be claimed for gold and silver. Why is he making that so clear?
Well, he is either not completely aware of financial monetary policy, which I don't think that's the case. He's a really smart guy. Because first of all, what does that mean? Well, there used to be a time where you could have a paper bill and it said at the bottom of the paper bill that you could turn it in for physical silver on demand and also turn it in for physical gold on demand, depending on what kind of paper bill you had. So our currency was backed by gold and silver at one point. And Scott Bessent talked about that. And he said that you still can turn it in and get that physical silver or gold. Well, that's not a true statement. And I'm not here to demean our secretary or throw him under the bus or any administration of the President Trump administration. But the fact is this, since 1968, you could not do that. So here's where we need to connect that piece. And I think this is a vital piece. Is he alluding to the future that there will be a time again where you can take your paper money and it will be turned in and you can get physical silver or gold, or at the very minimum, backed by gold and silver? I think that's really the message behind this. I don't think he's lost his mind. I think he's laying the foundation because he's a smart guy for this to happen, and we need to pay attention. That statement holds a lot of weight. So let's put this all together. He said he's never visited Fort Knox, but Brendan Breach, the treasurer, has visited. He said all the gold is there. So they're laying the and he's saying we have $1 trillion, not $100 billion market value. He's laying the foundation for a reset in gold, which, by the way, when they reset gold, it went up 70% overnight. And that was 1933. I'm not alluding or saying that buying gold is a get-rich-quick scheme. What I am saying is, more than likely, the government is going to revalue gold. And Scott Bessent said that earlier this year. That's what they're going to do. So this is coming. It's not a matter of really if, it's more like when. So don't wait till they revalue gold and gold's a lot higher. Buy it at the low. We're just changing now into a bull market. Yesterday is the confirmation of that. Gold went up 4.5% yesterday in one day. So did silver. Stocks are rallying, but they went up 0.75% to 1%. So there's this big movement happening. The world is buying a lot of gold, and our administration is laying the foundation for a major change. They don't want to play second place to China. They want to be number one. Get ready. You're going to see a revaluation of gold, which means higher prices of gold and silver, and a more than likely a backing of the currency by either and or both gold and or silver.
Wow. That's an impressive statement, and one that people should be willing to act on, because who would want to miss out on one day buying gold for, let's say, $4,200 an ounce, and the next day it's going to be close to $7,000 an ounce?
You are exactly right. And the person, I'll get into this next week because I know we're running out of time. His name is Graham Summers. He's not a gold guy, although he believes everybody should have gold. He's a financial analyst. He writes a newsletter. I subscribe to his newsletter, and these are many of the things I quote on your program on predictions I get from him. So I can't take a lot of credit here in all my predictions, but he's been spot on, right on. You know what the title of his article said 2 days ago? Get ready for $7,000 gold. He said the same exact number, Dave, you just said. That is where we're going. So will it happen next week? No. Will it happen next week, next month? No. Will it happen this year? Possibly. But more than likely not that type of move. I don't like those big rich moves, but it will certainly happen probably within the next year. I would say that's a probably fair statement. Where you're going to get that type of move in most stock indexes, it just does not happen. So buckle your seatbelts. The monetary system is changing. We have to do something about our debt. The solution to that is we can't cut spending. That's not going to happen. We all know that. But the solution is back your currency by gold, attract the world to want to buy your debt. You get your financial house in order because everybody's wanting to buy our debt because our currency is backed by gold. And this is the out-of-the-box thinking that President Trump has and is alluding to, and Scott Bessent is in the same vein of that. Don't be not in this vein. Call my company, learn how you can take advantage of that. There's no obligation or pressure. We don't operate that way. We never had any complaints by being that. In fact, we're probably should be a little bit that way, but we're just not going to be, because people can make the decisions what's best for them. We empower them with knowledge and wisdom, but learn about that, because you can roll over your 401k and IRA into physical gold and silver, and who knows, might be the best investment you ever make moving forward.
Absolutely. 8:23, time for me to wrap it up with David. Don't forget you can reach him at landmarkgold.com. That's his website, landmarkgold.com, or call at 844-604-2575. David, thanks a lot. We'll see you again next Thursday. Hope that you're feeling refreshed from your vacation and you enjoyed yourself.
I had a great time. Thank you, Dave, for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you later. We got to get a break in. Let's do that here on the Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1 The Answer.
It's David Lucas. You know, over the years, I've learned something. Most people, they don't have a money problem. They have a coordination problem. It's not that they don't have investments. They have plenty of accounts, but none of them are working together. In other words, they have all the ingredients, but no recipe. And when that happens, retirement can start to feel complicated, even stressful. But retirement should feel like freedom, not friction. And most people, they don't need a miracle. They just need a clear plan. Because having a few good investments isn't enough. What really helps is having everything working together. And that's why at Lucas Total Wealth, we developed the Thrive Planning Framework, bringing together taxes, healthcare, risk management, income planning, vitality, and estate planning into one coordinated strategy. You can learn more at totalwealth.com. That's totalwealth.com. Don't just retire, plan to thrive.
Investment advisory services are offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License, number 1-615-2743.
What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected with the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket, at work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1 The Answer. The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1 The Answer.
26 minutes after 8. Our thanks to David Fisher for joining us today. Glad that he had a great vacation, and that was some pretty interesting things that he had to tell us. If you missed any of that segment, when we post the show on any of the other platforms we're at, and we're at just about every platform you can get on, you can re-listen to what he's had to say about where he thinks gold is going. In fact, where the Treasury Secretary thinks that gold is going. Well, we got time to do a news dump for you, so we got 3 minutes here before we get to the bottom of the hour and get news. But it's now official that El Said won the Democrat nomination for U.S. Senate in Michigan. The race was really a lot tighter than many expected. The Marxist Islamist Said defeated Haley Stevens by just a percentage point, 48.49% to 47.51%. The Wall Street Journal reported that the narrow victory by El Said in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary is both a landmark win for the party's insurgent left wing and a sign that the battle with centrists over the party's course is far from settled at this time. The narrow winning margin reflects in part an acknowledgement that El Said now poses a substantial risk to Democrats' chances of retaining control of that Michigan seat. The party's progressive wing was united behind him, but a large number of Democrats were wary of his candidacy, and El Said now must rally their support. And then finally, it's hard to say that establishment Democrats didn't try in the contest. David Strom reports that Democrats spent about $70 million, $70 million to take out Said in yesterday's primary, and all they got was a lot of lousy T-shirts. You know, I voted for El Said, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. We'll have more for you in a moment, dealing with what we're looking at as far as news. There's a lot kind of shaking around out there in Iran. Some of it you should be paying attention to. Most of it you can just ignore with basically a grain of salt. But let's get to the news, find out what's happening worldwide, and then we'll come back after the break and pick it up here on the Dave Elswick Show. It's the Dave Elswick Show on 101 FM, The Answer.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Iran claims it is close to an agreement with Gulf neighbor Oman over the Strait of Hormuz. This comes after President Trump said a deal to reopen the crucial waterway could be announced soon. The Israeli military says 2 of its soldiers died in combat in southern Lebanon, the first Israeli death since the implementation of a truce between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in June. South Korea says its neighbor to the north is at it again, North Korea launching a missile of some sort off its east coast. Cooler weather is helping crews battling wildfires around Spokane, Washington. 850 buildings, many of them homes, have been destroyed by the flames. The opening bell sounding on Wall Street, and just ahead of that, the Dow futures were up and the NASDAQ futures were in the red. More details, srnnews.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Every family deserves a place to call home. In Saline County, Habitat for Humanity is making that happen. One house, one family. We're not just building hope, stability, and a stronger community for everyone. And you can be a part of it. Volunteer, donate, or shop the Habitat Restore for great deals that fund our mission. Habitat for Humanity of Saline County. Building homes, building hope. Mention the answer and receive a 25% discount at the Benton or Bryant Rio.
The government is $1 billion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Town Hall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Town Hall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1 The Answer.
All right, back with you here on the Dave Elswick Show. We've got about 21 minutes till the top of the hour. Let me flesh out a little bit on the news that but Iran, even in the statement about the approaching deal, said such a deal cannot make the Strait safe. Washington Times reporting that Iran on Wednesday announced that it and Oman agreed on the coordinates of new commercial shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz after several rounds of negotiations, but stressed that the incoming deal would not end the crisis in the region. Baghi, spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry, told reporters that the reopening of the strait is contingent on the United States removing its naval blockade and halting all attacks on Iranian infrastructure. Quote, an understanding with Oman cannot in itself mean that the strait has become safe for passing vessels because the factors creating insecurity in the Strait of Hormuz, particularly the U.S. naval blockade and other actions against Iran and its interests remain in place. They went on to say that officials from both nations are finalizing the language of the agreement and it would be released soon. Reporting from earlier in the day suggested that the deal was finalized and awaited the approval of the Iranian supreme leader. Behnam bin Tabalo says this is what negotiating with the Islamic Republic is like. This is Iranian foreign policy 101. Make a deal and then retain a workaround. Look, I was listening to former Secretary Pompeo this morning as I was driving into work. And he was saying, whatever you sign on paper, know that they're going to break it. And you just have to be ready and willing to apply the necessary pressure, which would be military pressure, to keep them on the straight and narrow. So, they're not going anywhere as far as this goes. Whatever is decided upon does not mean that Iran will even follow what it brings forward as a deal. A Senate panel now is voting on the contempt resolution on Fauci. The Hill reporting that the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee will vote today on a resolution to hold former top health official Anthony Fauci in contempt following his hearing last week, in which he invoked his Fifth Amendment right more than 100 times, 111 to be exact, and refused to answer any questions. The HSGAC will vote Thursday morning today on the resolution regarding the refusal of Dr. Fauci to answer questions pertinent to the subject under inquiry before the committee as required by the committee subpoena. Quote, the resolution calls for Vice President J.D. Vance, who also serves as president of the Senate, to send the committee's report of contempt to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Meanwhile, Senator Paul is not backing down. According to the Daily Wire, Americans were left wondering, would Fauci face anything worse than an embarrassing viral hearing? He will if Senator Rand Paul has anything to say about it. Speaking to the Daily Wire yesterday, Paul explained why he's confident that the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee will hold the embattled doctor in contempt and what he thinks could happen next. And quoting Paul here, Senator Paul said, historically, votes like this have gone to the full Senate, but I think there's no absolute rule that says we can't send it directly to the Department of Justice. So my plan is that if we win the vote Thursday, to immediately send it to the Department of Justice with a recommendation for prosecution, even if it passes the whole Senate. So he's not taking any chances with Fauci. Fauci has done everything that he can to try to divest himself from things that happened during the pandemic. And we know between what he said publicly and what he was writing privately in his diary are worlds apart. So this is not all over for Fauci by a long shot. Still a lot to be decided here by them. Well, as the 25th anniversary of 9/11 approaches, the Catholic League has asked Mandani to skip the ceremony. Quote, we're less than 5 weeks away from the 25th anniversary of the most lethal attack on American soil. The fact that New York City has a Muslim mayor who fraternizes with a man who says we brought 9/11 on ourselves, and as appointed people would argue Israel brought 10/7 on themselves, weaves another dark thread through our remembrance of a very dark day. From the Catholic League and their president, Bill Donahue, they've started a petition asking the mayor to skip the remembrance services. Julia Cassidy at Town Hall wrote, citing Mandani's absence at both the Veterans Day Parade and the Israeli Day Parade, saying, quote, given that this is the 25th anniversary of 9/11 and that your presence would clearly be divisive, that is why there is a petition seeking to stop you from going. It would be best for everyone involved if you skipped this event. Donahue describes the personal stake that Catholics have in this matter, noting that the FDNY and the NYPD estimated that around 85 to 90% of the first responders who lost their lives in 9/11 were Catholic. Quote, you have made it very clear that you are infinitely more upset about prejudice against Muslims following 9/11 than the deadly event of that day, the letter concludes. So we'll see what Mandami decides to do. Will he show up? Questionable now, I think, whether he will or not. I think that he's going to want to, but he's going to have to literally figure out how much of his political will is he going to have to sell to be able to do that. So something to keep in mind as far as that's concerned. So we now know Iran and Oman are nearing a deal about the Strait of Hormuz. The president has made a statement to the effect that we'll probably have an agreement about the Strait of Hormuz fairly soon. And so here's another sidebar story that you should keep in mind. All 5 Democrats refused to attend the hearing on the Muslim Brotherhood. If the capitulation of Democrats on one of the major issues of the day is this abrupt, the future for the nation looks dim indeed. Bill Melugin wrote that all 5 Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Federal Courts boycotted today's hearing. They released a joint statement saying, in part, scapegoating Muslims may be a Texas Republican strategist's idea of solid gold to whip up their voters, but Democrats have no intention of indulging this political creep show. The 5 Democrats who refused to attend Senator Whitehouse, Senator Blumenthal, Senator Hirono, Senator Padilla, and Senator Welsh. Note that the other Republicans on the subcommittee did not attend. That, however, was a scheduling issue, not a denial of the newly assertive but long building threat. So Democrats are, of course, siding with CARE. And that doesn't surprise me at all. It shouldn't surprise any of us, to be honest. The Democrats have, a good portion of them now, have thrown their weight behind the Palestinian movement, behind Hamas and people like that. Senator Cruz is leading a Senate hearing on the Muslim Brotherhood. He's the one leading this insightful meet. The Texas senator did not hesitate to connect the dots between what we're seeing happen in our nation today as it relates to the terror sponsoring network. Cruz saying, now let's look at the Muslim Brotherhood network today and its influence in the United States today. In fact, just yesterday, Abdul El Sayed, the son-in-law of a leading member of several Brotherhood groups, won Michigan's Democrat primary for U.S. Senate. Perfect timing for this hearing. Probably explains why no Democrats are here and none intend to attend, because their campaign is now openly embracing terrorist organizations and waging war on America. Behind El Sayed's political rise, since a much older and more entrenched institutional network, at the center of this sprawling network is the Council on American Islamic Relations, and that's, of course, CAIR. CAIR was founded in 94 by Brotherhood affiliates. Cruz says, my promise to the American people is to hold accountable those who finance and support terrorism on American soil. I'm glad that there's one senator willing to speak out about this and are standing against CAIR and the Muslim Brotherhood both. And with these meetings going on in the Senate, we'll find out even more about this terrorist organization. We got to get another break in, final break for this hour, and then we'll wrap it up for a Thursday here on the Dave Elswick Show, 1011 The Answer.
In the world of generators, trust, not marketing, defines success. Northside Power is the trusted name when the power goes out. We're ranked number one in generator, sales, service, and installation. No gimmick and no side hustle. No matter your home's needs, Northside Power installs, service, and monitors generators 24/7. When the power goes out, excuses don't keep your lights on. Experience does. That's Northside Power. Generators isn't something we do, it's all we do.
The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. With Abdul El Sayed's victory in Michigan, the Democratic Party has gone from Barack Obama denouncing those who said America deserved 9/11 to campaigning with those who say just that, like Hassan Piker, the left's most famous podcaster. As the political philosopher Jerry Garcia wrote, what a long, strange trip it's been. El Sayed is the latest success endorsed and campaigned for by the Marxist Islamist axis of the Democratic Socialists of America. This juggernaut is proving unstoppable and taking over the Democratic Party. A generation ago, a real political philosopher, Harry Jaffa, pointed out that with the fall of the Berlin Wall, utopian communism would no longer be seen as simply a threat from abroad, but a more deadly and dangerous phase here at home could follow. Quite right. A wall can stop people, but not their ideas. That enemy is here and potent. The two-party system is now looking Republican on one hand and Marxist Islamist on the other. We cannot simply wish this away or ignore. I'm Seth Leibson.
Alex Marlowe sees the true colors.
The left really hates this country, and now you're seeing them openly advocate for things that are just deeply anti-American, just in terms of all of our founding principles. We're of many one type of country. It's on every coin, and that's where they're at, and they want to gerrymander based on race, and it's the Republicans who are saying you can't do that in Louisiana. I feel like I've been witnessing this my entire adult life, but I feel like now they're announcing it.
The Alex Marlowe Show, weekday mornings at 11 on 101.1 The Answer. Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1 The Answer.
About 11 minutes until 9 o'clock here on the Dave Elswick Show. In the wake of El Sayed's victory, Hassan Piker, we just heard him talking about that on an editorial, has a strange way of pulling the party together, because that's what El Sayed's going to have to do if he wants to win the Senate race in Michigan. He's going to have to mend all of the pieces, the fragments, the broken teacup that they call the Democrat Party now. And it's going to be interesting to see how this contest pans out. Alana Goodman at Free Beacon in Washington, D.C. Left-wing Michigan Democratic Senate nominee Abdul El Sayed's top campaign surrogate, anti-American streamer Hassan Piker, rejected calls for El Sayed and his supporters to start mending bridges in the wake of the contentious primary against Congresswoman Haley Stevens. Quote, "You are all unbelievably Islamophobic pieces of S's." All right. Piker said in reference to Stevens supporters, everyone being like, Abdul has a effing of work to do mending bridges. Piker, who is best known for arguing that America deserved 9/11, said white live live streaming from El Sayed's election night watch party. Quote, "Here's the effing take nuke for you, okay? You're all unbelievably Islamophobic." Ed Morrissey says, "The arrogance of Piker is astonishing to behold, and at the same time, hardly surprising. Many wonder at how the left can embrace socialism and Islam at the same time. Piker's declaration here makes it clear. Both socialism and Islam require submission. And that is precisely what Piker is demanding now that the primary is finally over. And in this case, it's Piker who's making Islam the issue, not to mention Israel is also the issue as well. That's going to be a hard hole for, this guy El Sayed to become the senator of Michigan. I personally think that what we're seeing with these leftists that are going to now be running for these positions in the Democrat Party, you're going to have a lot of Democrats that just can't, pull the lever or push the button for this guy. And because of that, I think he'll end up losing his new Senate seat to a Republican. That would be a one save for the Republican Party as far as that. All right. So what does the story say, Val?
It says committee votes to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress.
Okay, I bet you there wasn't.
Senate committee votes to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress. The vote along party lines allows the Homeland Security Committee to refer Dr. Anthony Fauci to the Justice Department for prosecution. That does not mean that the department will take up the case.
Yeah, they're going to send that over today. Rand Paul was very clear about that. They're not going to bring it to the entire Senate for their vote. They don't think that that's necessary. And they're going to just send it right over to the new AG over for the United States. I would think that he'll pursue it. At least that's from what I've been seeing talked about in the press. I think that we're going to see that taken care of. So we're not that far now from the election in November. I mean, here we are now in the middle of August. So we're 3 months out. If you'd asked me, 2 months ago, I would have given you probably about an 80% odds that the House is going to flip, the Senate was going to stay the same. But now with all of these lefties being okayed by the Democrats to run for the general election, I'm going to reduce that. Can the Democrats take the House down to probably 25%? This is going to hurt them. It really is going to hurt them. Good possibility that the Democratic Party is doing what the GOP usually is notorious for doing, and that's pulling, a victory from or pulling defeat from the jaws of victory. Because just a few weeks ago, you didn't have all of this Saeed stuff and people like Piker, calling everybody who didn't vote for Saeed in Michigan, anti-Semitic and all kinds of foul names as well. And yesterday I told you the Secret Service stopped a possible suicide attempt against the president, a guy that was suicidal. They took a look at what he was doing, and ended up going to check it out his house and found all kinds of weaponry. And now you've got the Wisconsin primary, socialist Francesca Hong arguing, quote, "We need to 86 Trump," unquote. She's framing her comment around the frequent use of the expression in the restaurant industry. Like former FBI Director James Comey and his 86 Trump shell game, Hong knows exactly what she's doing. She knows that by saying 86 Trump, she's saying he needs to be neutralized. And given the numerous attempts on Trump's life and the horror of what we witnessed with Charlie Kirk's life, the glib use of the language is beyond irresponsible. Let me read her exact quote. "In the restaurant industry, when we're out of something, we say it's 86, and I'll say it's about effing time that we 86 Trump. He represents the utter failure of our government to keep us safe from threats, both viral and systemic." Amy Curtis over at Town Hall was writing, and this will finish up the show for today. "This comes from a woman who wants to use violence against ICE, turn Wisconsin into a sanctuary state for illegal aliens, and abolish police and prisons. That is a true threat." All right. I'll be back with you again tomorrow, 7:05. Who we got up for tomorrow? Is Razorback Zach coming in again? Okay, so he'll be here to talk about the first week of fall practice, and Congressman Rick Crawford, District 1, will join us at 8 o'clock? Will be with us at 8:05. So don't miss any of that. You'll want to hear what he has to say. You want to hear what Razorback Zach has to say. It's the Dave Elswick Show. I'll see you on the radio at 7:05 tomorrow.
This is the Dave Elswick Show. Find him on Twitter and on Facebook